The courtroom is quiet. Quieter than you'd think. So quiet you can hear the soft hum of the overhead lights. Cameras don't get to come inside. But if the walls could scream, they would. Because today, it's not a TV show. It's Judgment Day. Kody Brown, once the self-assured head of a large plural family, now sits behind a sleek oak table, his jaw clenched, his eyes cast upon the floor. The man who once taught about togetherness now stands trial in the state of Nevada, a criminal case that might put an end to it all. Outside, there are hundreds of people crowding onto the courthouse steps, some wearing "Justice for the Wives" signs, others calling out his name like a fallen hero. Inside, the scent of perfume and fear hangs in the air. Christine, Janelle, Meri, and Robyn each sit on opposite sides of the courtroom, a few rows away from one another, not even looking at one another. The same women who referred to each other as sister wives now have nothing to say to each other. The judge's gavel bangs once. Hard, decisive. All rise, and suddenly, the tale that began in love and faith now becomes one of betrayal and survival. If you think you know the sister wives, you haven't seen anything yet. Stick around until the end, because what comes next will turn everything on its head. The prosecution starts with a measured, halting tone. Your Honor, this is a case about lies, about a man who used the facade of faith and family to cover up his own selfish desires. Kody doesn't stir. His hands are still clasped together, fingers burrowing into his own knuckles. The words slice through the air like glass. Christine glances down, her eyes welling up with tears. She knows what's about to happen. Everyone does. And suddenly the atmosphere in the room is transformed. Because when a secret finally sees the light of day, things never remain the same. The prosecutor goes on, rummaging through a thick folder of files. Year after year, Mr. Brown managed numerous family trusts and joint accounts. But in secret, huge amounts of cash were withdrawn, diverted, and concealed. These weren't careless mistakes. These were intentional acts of fraud, perpetrated against the very women who trusted him most. A whisper spreads through the crowd. Even the judge glances up. Kody grips his jaw harder. Then Christine rises. She's the prosecution's first witness. Her footsteps reverberate off the marble floor as she approaches the stand, her green dress quivering slightly with each breath. The clerk administers an oath. Christine's voice quavers, "I do." The prosecutor's smile is kind. "Christine, how long were you spiritually married to the defendant?" 27 years, she whispers. "And in that time, did you ever have access to your own money?" Christine pauses. "No, everything filtered through him. Every paycheck, every dollar from the show, every appearance fee." The courtroom grows colder. Even the judge appears to sit back, as if preparing himself. And this is the moment when every viewer leans forward. Because for the first time, Christine isn't a wife anymore. She's a witness. The prosecutor nods. "Christine, can you tell the court what you learned last year?" Her lips quiver. "He moved more than $300,000 from our shared account into one in Robyn's name. He told me it was temporary, that he'd bring it back. But he never did." The staccato clacking of typing echoes in the room as the court reporter persists. Robyn turns pale. Kody finally glances up, his eyes narrowing, nearly a wordless warning. But Christine doesn't relent. "He said I didn't get business," she goes on. "He said he was keeping the family safe. But I found receipts behind tax returns in his office drawer." The prosecutor holds the moment. "Then Christine, why are you doing this now?" She swallows hard. "Because I spent years believing that love meant obedience. That if I kept quiet, things would improve. But when I realized that he was not protecting the family, he was protecting himself, I could no longer keep quiet. It's not a trial, it's a reckoning. And the truth isn't concerned with how renowned you are." Kody's defense attorney stands up. "Objection, Your Honor. Emotional speculation." The judge exhales. "Sustained. The witness will adhere to facts." Christine nods, wiping away tears. But already her truth has cut through the room like a knife. In the back row, Meri sits quietly, her face unreadable. Robyn's hands are trembling. Janelle closes her eyes briefly, as if in prayer. The defense stands tall, straightening his tie. "Mrs. Brown," he says tactfully, "isn't it the case that at this point you and the defendant were splitting up?" Christine flinches. Yes, and isn't it true that you were upset about the divorce? Christine's voice stabilizes. Yes, but that doesn't alter what he did. The lawyer moves in. Or does it, Mrs. Brown? Is it possible that this allegation has more to do with revenge than reality? The air becomes charged. Even the judge leans forward. Christine does not blink. You can name it what you will, she says. But money cannot lie. It is sometimes the most lethal thing in a courtroom that is not the evidence, it is the emotion behind it. The defense attorney steps back, shaking his head. The tension refuses to dissipate. Then, just as the judge is about to call for a recess, a quiet voice speaks up in the witness row. Your Honor, she's Janelle. She rises, hugging a folder to her body. I have something the court must hear. Gasps pass through the crowd. Kody spins around, his face going pale. Janelle, don't. But Janelle doesn't hold back. She moves forward, her eyes brimming with tears. For years I was silent, but Christine is telling the truth, and I can document it. The judge waves her forward. The prosecutor appears shocked. Mrs. Brown, are you ready to testify under oath? Yes, she replies. Now, the gavel rings again. Court will reconvene in 15 minutes, the judge says. As the courtroom erupts in murmurs and activity, Kody's lawyer speaks in his ear. What else have you not told me? Kody's gaze is empty, his voice barely audible. Everything. And just when you believe the truth can't go any deeper, it does. Outside, reporters yell questions. Flashbulbs pop like lightning, and Christine leaves the courthouse with her head held high. Janelle remains behind, striding around the witness bench, clutching that cryptic folder as if it were dynamite. Whatever is in there might determine everything. The second day of the trial starts under a heavy gray sky. Rain pounds on the windows of the courthouse like restless fingers, and the air is more dense than yesterday. Like the weather itself is aware that something huge is about to happen. Inside, Robyn is sitting in front, fingers shredding a tissue. Eyes are red, but not from tears. More from lack of sleep. She hasn't eaten. She hasn't said a word. For the first time, she is sitting by herself. When the judge walks in, everyone stands up. Cameras are still verboten, but the courtroom is abuzz with whispers. The press out there has dubbed it the family trial of the century. Kody appears different today. The pride is missing. His hair is disheveled, his tie crooked, and there is a sort of tempest in his eyes that resembles more panic than pride. Christine and Janelle are both here. Janelle clutching that enigmatic folder like it's a loaded gun. But before she can say anything, the prosecutor calls for another witness. Robyn Brown. The name crashes the room like a thunderclap. Even Christine appears stunned. Robyn comes up slowly, her voice hardly above a whisper. Yes, Your Honor. Her heels click on the floor as she makes her way to the stand, measured and vulnerable. The courtroom observes every step. After she is sworn in, the prosecutor nods to her sympathetically. Mrs. Brown, you were Kody's fourth wife, right? Yes, she replies softly. And you are still legally married to him? A hesitation. Yes, the room temperature appears to dip, because when loyalty and love collide with truth, someone always shatters. The prosecutor opens a folder. Mrs. Brown, we're going to have you answer some questions about the joint financial accounts your husband was in charge of. You are aware that you are under oath? Robyn nods. I do. The prosecutor leans forward. A number of transactions were done in your name. These were business withdrawals and property exchanges. Did you sign those yourself? Robyn's lip quivers. No, Kody told me that it was easier if everything went through me, that the other wives didn't realize how complicated it was. A murmur is heard from the audience. Christine shakes her head, whispering something to Janelle. The prosecutor persists, steady but pointed. Did you ever wonder why those figures were being sent, particularly the $300,000? Christine spoke of yesterday. Robyn closes her eyes. I did wonder once. He said, if I didn't trust him, then I didn't trust our faith. The words linger in the air like an open wound. No one wishes to touch. At times the distinction between devotion and control is narrower than anyone is willing to acknowledge. The defense attorney jumps up. Your Honor, I object. This is an emotional ambush. Mrs. Brown is being played into testifying against her husband. The judge scowls. Overruled. Continue. Robyn's voice shakes. But she goes on. He said I should sign what he presented to me. I didn't even read it. I wanted to believe he was safeguarding us. Kody's hand tightens around the edge of the table, shifting his body. His whisper is a blade. You don't have to do this, Robyn. She looks at him, but for the first time she doesn't look frightened. She looks exhausted. The prosecutor draws a breath. Mrs. Brown, have you had contact with the defendant at all since the investigation started? The courtroom holds its breath. Robyn pauses. I shouldn't have. What do you mean? There was a call. The night before the indictment. Gasp waves through the courtroom. Kody pales. The prosecutor leans in. A call. Mrs. Brown, are you claiming the defendant called you after a restraining order? Robyn nods hesitantly. Yes, he instructed me not to speak with anyone. He said the truth would ruin the family forever. And there it is. The moment that makes it all change. The truth doesn't ruin families. The lies do. The defense explodes. Your Honor, we object to that statement being made part of the record. This is speculation. But the judge dismisses him with a head shake. No. Counsel, it's testimony. Robyn holds her tissue. Tears at last overflowing. I loved him, she breathes. But love doesn't mean lying anymore. For a moment the room is utterly silent. Even Christine's eyes gentle. Not with forgiveness, exactly, but with something nearer to pity. Then suddenly Janelle rises. Your Honor, she says. Her voice resolute. The call she's referring to, there's more. The judge tilts an eyebrow. Go on. Janelle moves forward, clutching her folder as a shield. I didn't come only with financial documents. I came with something else, something Kody doesn't know I possess. Kody sits bolt upright. Janelle, stop. But it is too late. She opens the folder and takes out a tiny digital recorder. Christine's hand goes to her mouth. The prosecutor appears as though he has just seen a ghost. This, Janelle continues, her voice shaking but unbroken, was recorded the night before Christine departed the family. I didn't intend to record it, but it got everything. Kody rises. That recording was personal. The judge slams the gavel. Sit down, Mr. Brown, or you'll be held in contempt. The courtroom falls dead silent. The prosecutor nods toward Janelle. Mrs. Brown, if that recording pertains to this case, the court will hear it. Janelle sets the recorder down on the evidence table. You'll want to listen, she says softly, because it's not only about money, it's about what he told me he'd do if anyone ever crossed him. And there it is. The atmosphere shifts. You can sense it. Every single person in that room realizes that when that recording is played, the whole story will blow. The judge orders a recess. Reporters dash for the doors, phone in hand. Outside, the storm is over, and a cloud of flashing lights and yelling voices. Inside, Robyn sits paralyzed on the stand, her face in her hands. Kody won't meet her eye. He's staring at the recorder as if it were alive. Alive enough to know too much. Christine leans forward against Janelle. What's on that tape? Janelle whispers back. You'll hear soon enough. But her eyes tell a different story. A different kind of weight. She doesn't know if they're ready for that. As the crowd breaks up and the guards herd Kody out in handcuffs for recess, his words ring out low and menacing. You think you know me, Janelle? You don't know anything. She says nothing. She just lets him pass. And as the courtroom clears, one question lingers in the air like smoke. When that recording plays, whose life will it reduce to ashes first? Because sometimes the truth doesn't set anyone free. It burns everything down. What do you think is on that tape? Is it all about money? Or something more sinister? Kody's been keeping under wraps for years. Share your opinions in the comments. Because come next session, the tape rolls, and it's going to change everything. The courtroom is a different place today. Like everyone already knows they're going to hear something they're going to wish they could forget. The wooden benches groan as bodies shift. Reporters, erstwhile fans, interested bystanders. The sort of silence that precedes mayhem hangs heavy in the air. The judge lowers himself into his chair slowly, gaze stern but tired. The prosecutor's table is heaped high with files of evidence, and at its center sits that small recorder. Innocent, metallic, and deadly. Janelle sits at the witness table, hands clasped tightly. Christine stands directly behind her, eyes fixed on Kody. He doesn't glance back. He can't. Robyn isn't present yet. The court had given her leave for late entrance after yesterday's meltdown. But everyone is sure she'll be there. She always is. The judge clears his throat. The court will now examine Exhibit 14A. An audio recording submitted by witness Janelle Brown. The bailiff pushes play. There's static for a few seconds. Then Kody's voice. Quiet. Assured. Chilling. You think walking away from me will solve anything? You think you can just leave this family and ruin what I created? You don't even know what I've done to protect us. Christine gasps softly. Janelle is looking straight ahead. Impassive. The voice goes on. I control the money, the properties, the show, everything. If any of you try to cross me, I'll bury you with paperwork and lawsuits, until you have nothing left. Nothing. The courtroom falls dead silent. Even the court reporter's fingers hesitate for a second. And that's the thing about the truth. It never whispers. It screams. The prosecutor stops the tape. Mrs. Brown, when was this recorded? Janelle's tone is calm. The night before Christine left. We were in Robyn's kitchen. Kody didn't know my phone was on the counter recording. The prosecutor nods slowly. Did you feel threatened by these statements? Yes, she says. We all did. Kody's defense attorney rises. His tone clipped. Your Honor, this recording is taken out of context. My client was speaking emotionally during a family dispute. This is not evidence of a crime. The judge raises an eyebrow. Then let's hear the rest. The bailiff presses play again. Kody's voice turns darker. I've done everything. They can have what they want. But I've shielded what's important. If they turn on me, they'll regret it. I'll see to it that none of them ever get that platform again. The show is mine. Christine's eyes well up with tears. You can watch as her heart shatters. Not for the wedding, but for the years spent trusting the man beneath that voice. And sometimes it's not so much the betrayal, but realizing the one you stood up for was your enemy all along. The prosecutor halts the tape again. Mrs. Brown, can you hear all voices on this tape? Yes. That's Kody. And that's Robyn at the end. The prosecutor furrows her brow. Robyn. Janelle nods. Keep playing. The tape keeps going. And a softer voice comes through. Robyn's. Kody, you can't speak like that. They'll think you're threatening them. And Kody's response is like a sword. Then maybe they should be afraid. Gasps ring out in the room. Robyn, having just arrived, stops dead in her tracks. The color has left her face as she hears her own voice coming from the speakers. The judge bends forward. Mrs. Brown, was the recording made available to anyone before this trial? Janelle nods. Yes, I gave a copy to Christine after I found it again last year. I thought, if something ever happened, someone should know. Kody's lawyer protests again. But it's too late. The harm is done. In that one instant, the courtroom ceases being about faith or money. It's about fear. The prosecutor glares at Kody. Mr. Brown, did you threaten your wives with financial or legal retribution if they testified against you? Kody clenches his jaw. No, that recording was edited. I was upset. That's all. Upset enough to conceal family assets? I didn't conceal anything. He barks. You people don't know how this family operates. The judge slams the gavel. Control yourself, Mr. Brown. But the facade is crumbling. His anger intensifies. They cheated me. All that I constructed, all that I gave, nothing was enough. And now you want to characterize me as some kind of monster? Christine mutters under her breath. You did that to yourself. Kody bangs his fist on the table. You think you can all leave and steal what's mine? You wouldn't even be here if it weren't for me. The guards move forward. The judge calls for calm. But too late. The public has already seen the true Kody Brown. The Kody Brown behind the cameras. When a mask has shattered, it does not crack softly. It shatters boisterously, so all can hear. With order restored, the prosecutor rises. Your Honor, on the basis of this tape and the financial records submitted, the state moves to proceed with formal charges of fraud and a restraining order to safeguard the witnesses. The defense tries to argue, but it's background noise at this point. The wives have already made up their minds. Robyn's voice shakes. I didn't know he'd gone that far. I thought he was protecting us. Christine glances at her. So did we. Janelle folds up her folder. Her face is tranquil, but her eyes are tense with years of fatigue. We just wanted the truth out. Kody slumps, his breathing ragged, his eyes fixed on the table. The man who had ruled 4 families is now unable even to rule the silence that follows him. The judge clears his throat. Court will recess tomorrow. The jury will be sworn in, and formal charges against the state will be read. Mr. Brown will be held in custody pending review. Kody shoots up, his eyes wide. Custody? The judge nods. You've violated a restraining order, Mr. Brown. And after hearing that tape, the court has concerns about the safety of the witnesses. The bailiff moves toward him. Kody stands, his face red with fury. You're making a mistake. This isn't over. But the doors close behind him before his words can echo back. And just like that, the man who built an empire of control finally loses it all. Outside, journalists mob, fans weep, and the internet is abuzz with the leaked text of the tape. #Kody Brown exposed becomes a hashtag across all platforms in an hour. Christine does not speak to the cameras. Neither does Janelle. But Robyn pauses just short of getting into her car, eyes brimming and voice shaking. Everyone thought I was blind, she says quietly. But the truth is, I didn't want to see. She glides inside, shutting the door softly. Within the courthouse, the tape continues to play softly in someone's head. Kody's voice, low, menacing, indelible. And within that echo, you can sense it. This trial is no longer about guilt or innocence. It's about the price of silence. So now that the mask has dropped, what happens next? Do you think Kody deserves redemption? Or has he gone too far for good? Let me know in the comments, because the next session will show us the repercussions that even he could not contain. The courthouse smells like coffee and rain when the doors open again the next morning. But something's different. The reporters out front aren't yelling questions anymore. Whispering. The supporters aren't holding up signs. They're standing in stunned silence, not sure which side they're even on anymore. Christine and Janelle sit next to each other in the courtroom for the first time in decades. No words, only silent recognition that yesterday's reality has made them wives turned witnesses. Robyn walks in by herself. Her hands shake as she moves past the cameras, past the individuals who used to chant her name. There are no chants today. There are only whispers. Kody is escorted in through the back door by 2 deputies. His eyes flit around the room, like he's looking for someone to still believe him. But no one looks his way. The judge calls for silence. We will now proceed with witness testimony related to the recording presented in court yesterday. The prosecutor stands. The state calls Christine Brown. She rises slowly. Her dress is dark blue, the color of quiet strength. Every step toward the witness stand feels heavier than the last. When she sits, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Mrs. Brown, the prosecutor begins. You've already testified about the financial control your husband had over the family. After hearing that recording, how has your understanding of those events changed? Christine gasps for air. It vindicated everything I knew but could not demonstrate. He said for years that we were undergoing trial by God, that obedience is love and doubt is betrayal. But now I understand it was not faith he was interested in. It was control. The prosecutor nods. Did you ever feel threatened? Christine's voice breaks. Yes. Not physically, but emotionally, spiritually. I no longer recognized who I was. And whenever I attempted to leave, he'd tell me I'd be nothing without him. The courtroom is still. Even Kody does not budge. And that's what control actually resembles. Not shackles but faith. When you begin questioning your freedom, that's when someone actually owns you. The defense attorney stands up in a rush. Mrs. Brown, your anger towards my client is evident. But isn't it the case that you did not start these claims until you left him? Christine clenches her jaw. Yes. Because when you're in it, you don't notice. You get through it. It's only once you're out that you really realize what it was. The lawyer snorts quietly. And this is revenge for what you felt. No. She replies quietly. It's truth. The tension crackles in the air. The judge looks at her a long time. Half sympathy, half respect. You are free to go, Mrs. Brown. Christine stands, slowly but as she passes Kody, She hesitates for the briefest moment. Their eyes lock, his blazing, hers full of calm finality. And in the stillness, something dies that will never live again. Closure isn't always about forgiveness. It's about finally being heard. Kody slouches over to his attorney and mutters something enraged. His fists clamp, veins standing out. Whatever control he still had, it's gone now. The prosecutor does not linger. The state calls Robyn Brown to the stand. A mutter passes over the room. Even Christine shifts a little, interested. Robyn comes forward, pale and shaky, but her face has changed now. Resigned, perhaps even ready. She sits down, looks over at Kody, then away. The oath is read, she nods. The prosecutor begins softly. Mrs. Brown, you've been married to Mr. Brown for over a decade. You heard the recording played in this courtroom. Did you recognize your voice on that tape? Robyn nods. Yes. Did you understand what Mr. Brown meant when he said the others should be afraid? She pulls a deep breath. Yes. He meant that he would destroy them. Money-wise. Reputation-wise. He once told me that if the show was cancelled due to them, he'd ensure none of us would bounce back. That we'd all regret it. The courtroom murmurs again. Kody bangs his hand on the table. Lies. The judge raps his gavel. One more interruption, Mr. Brown, and I'll have you out of here. Robyn's eyes well up with tears. I thought he was angry, but when I saw how he handled money, and how he talked about Christine after she left, I knew he meant every word. When denial finally shatters, what emerges isn't weakness. It's the sound of someone waking up. The prosecutor edges closer. Mrs. Brown, are you in fear of the defendant? Her voice shakes. Yes. Kody's face goes stiff. Half horror, half sorrow. He mutters something under his breath. Perhaps her name. But Robyn gazes forward, silent tears rolling down her face. The prosecutor nods and retreats. No further questions. The judge calls for a 10-minute recess. Everyone breathes at once, as if the air itself had been taken captive. Robyn remains sitting, looking down at her hands. Christine and Janelle exit together, silent but resolute. The crowd grumbles. Half sympathy, half intrigue. Kody remains frozen, observing Robyn, incredulity etched on his face. Then he breathes softly. You too. She does not respond. And that silence speaks volumes more than words ever could. When court reconvenes, the atmosphere is heavier, denser, as if the walls themselves are waiting with bated breath. Flash bulbs click in front of the courtroom windows, as if attempting to snap the invisible tension hovering over everyone within. Kody sits back down, jaw locked, eyes cold. The mask he's worn for years, the charming patriarch, the confident leader, has cracked. His lawyer whispers something, but Kody doesn't hear. His eyes are on Robyn. She doesn't look back. The judge clears his throat. We'll proceed with cross-examination. The defense lawyer rises, attempting to imbue a runaway situation with calm authority. Mrs. Brown, he starts smoothly. You've been Mr. Brown's biggest supporter for years, haven't you? Robyn nods feebly. Yes. And isn't it a fact that you yourself profited under his guidance? From the family money, the houses, the celebrity. Her voice shakes. Yes, I did. But that makes what he did not right. The attorney smirks weakly. So you only turned on him when it suited you? Robyn's facade at last shatters. She leans forward, shaking but intense. Convenient? Do you think it's convenient to destroy your own family? To admit that the man you defended made you question your own mind? The courtroom stirs again. Even the judge appears taken aback by the intensity in her words. Robyn goes on, tears shining. I loved him. God help me. I loved him. So much I lied for him. I rationalized everything that he did, because I felt like that's what a wife was supposed to do. But there is a point when love becomes fear. And that's when you must choose yourself. When the truth finally manages to seep through the cracks, it doesn't whisper. It screams. Kody can no longer bear it. He bangs his hand on the table, his voice ringing out in the courtroom. Stop it. You don't have a clue what you're talking about, Robyn. You really think that these people are concerned with you? They're manipulating you just like they manipulated me. Gasp waves run through the courtroom. The judge pounds his gavel once more. Mr. Brown, please be restrained. But Kody's eyes are crazy now. You were supposed to be different. He yells at Robyn. You were supposed to stick with me. No matter what. Robyn's face twists. And I did, Kody. But you destroyed everything. You destroyed us. The deputies advance a step closer, just in case. The audience can sense the threat. Not physical, but emotional. This is a man witnessing his world fall apart. One truth at a time. Sometimes the most deafening breakdowns aren't rage. They're seeing that you've lost the narrative you constructed. The judge calls for a recess. But no one gets up. The quiet that follows Kody's tantrum is eerie. Robyn finally dabs at her eyes, gets up, and passes by him. He turns, observing her depart. His voice barely above a whisper, heard only in the front of the room. You were my last chance. She hesitates half a second, then continues on. Christine and Janelle are standing by the door, observing too. For an instant, there is no competitiveness. No resentfulness, only a mutual sorrow for what this family once was. Robyn floats by them unobtrusively, and Christine reaches out to touch her shoulder. Only one gentle contact, no words. And in that instant, years of hurt melt away into wordless understanding. Sometimes healing doesn't begin in forgiveness. It begins in being believed. As the courtroom clears for recess, Kody remains seated, alone. Journalists cluster outside the double doors, their voices muffled but intense. Did you see that? He lost it. It's over. But he doesn't hear them. His eyes are on the table, where the court microphone still glows red. Live, capturing everything. Slowly, almost to himself, he mutters. They all wanted me to fail, but I'm not done yet. The camera pans in. If this were an episode, you'd see his face half-shadowed, trembling between rage and desperation. The screen would fade to black. And then, in a whisper that cuts like a blade, the courtroom is chilly today, not only from the air conditioning, but from the heaviness of what is to be revealed. The gallery is filled to the back. Cameras are rolling. Reporters huddle over what Meri may say. Christine is in the front row, quiet but attentive. Janelle is leaning forward a little, hands together. Robyn is white and tired, looking down at her lap. Then the bailiff calls it out. Case of Brown v. Brown. Continued. The state calls Meri Brown. The mention of her name silences the room in an instant. Meri stands slowly, dressed in black. Not as mourning but as armor. The years have carved quiet lines on her face. But her eyes, they're steady, clear. She steps up to the stand, puts her hand on the Bible, and swears in. The prosecutor approaches her gently, as if recognizing this won't be easy. Mrs. Brown, he starts. You were Mr. Brown's first wife. The foundation of this family. Tell the court what that was like for you. She flashes a tiny bitter smile. Being first didn't equal love. It equaled blame. The room shifts. Even the judge looks up. I was with the family when it began. Meri goes on. I believed in it, in him. But with time, I saw that it wasn't faith that kept us together. It was fear. We were too afraid to challenge him because he convinced us he was chosen. That quitting him would mean losing everything. Even our spot in heaven. Her eyes flash. The first flash of the old Meri. Once, I told him I couldn't keep living like that. He said, you'll stay, because without me you're nothing. A soft gasp ripples through the crowd. Kody shifts in his chair, visibly restless. Eyes darting between the lawyer and Meri. When people say words can't hurt, they've never been cut open by one spoken with love. The prosecutor takes a step forward. Meri, why now? She takes a deep breath. Because for years, I kept hoping he'd change. I figured quiet was loyalty. But quiet only covers up the wrong guy. Kody explosively breaks in. You're taking things out of context. You pleaded to stay. Objection, interjects the prosecutor. Sustained, responds the judge. Mr. Brown, be silent. Meri fixes Kody with a firm look. Her tone steady but razor sharp. I didn't plead to remain. I pleaded with you to look at me. You never did. And that's the hardest kind of loneliness. Being unseen alongside the one who says they love you. The prosecutor points toward the evidence screen. Mrs. Brown, have you ever seen this document? A file sits there, bank transfers. Deeds to property, all held by Kody. Meri sits forward, forehead furrowed. Yes, those are the accounts we were not supposed to know about. He said it was for the protection of the family. But actually it was his safety fund, just in case we ever left him. Christine whispers a soft gasp. Robyn closes her eyes. Janelle mutters something under her breath. perhaps a prayer, perhaps incredulity. Kody pounds his hand on the table. You don't know what you're talking about. The judge's tone interjects. Mr. Brown, one more outburst and I will have you thrown from the courtroom. The prosecutor addresses Meri once more. Do you have any final statement, Mrs. Brown? Meri gazes out into the room. Her voice quavers once and then solidifies. Yes. I want my story back. He stole that from all of us. But not anymore. A stillness falls over the courtroom. It is only when a woman finally gives up trying to be understood that her truth begins resounding loudly enough for the world to listen. The judge thanks her and declares a brief recess. The air hums with whispers. Reporters writing furiously, onlookers wide-eyed. Christine leans close to Janelle. He's cornered now. Everything he built, it's crumbling. Janelle nods quietly. And this time no one's going to bail him out. In the corner of defense, Kody slumps, gasping for breath, a glistening of sweat on his forehead. His attorney says, "We have to get our bearings here. This is not good." But Kody's gaze is elsewhere. Far away, black. They believe they can kill me with words, he whispers. They don't remember who gave them those words in the first place. He smiles weakly, the way one recalls a secret nobody else is privy to. And that's the risk of a man who can't help but believe himself the hero of a tale no longer his own. The camera zooms in, figuratively speaking, on Kody's face. Somewhere in those eyes, a new strategy is taking shape. And as the session comes to a close, the narrator's voice creeps in. Slow, heavy, deliberate. They believed the courtroom would be the end of it. But sometimes the actual war starts when the truth finally reaches the air. The patter of rain against the courthouse panes establishes the tone, cold and unforgiving. It's the third week of the trial, and the world has turned on Kody Brown. Headlines outside yell, "Sister wives in court, betrayal, money and lies." Inside, Kody enters like a man fighting war. His proud stance is lost, replaced with something more pointed, defiance and anger. The courtroom is different today. There is no sympathy for him anymore. Not after what was revealed yesterday. But Kody has more. Not yet. His attorney stands up. Your Honor, the defense would like to present additional evidence. Communication logs between the plaintiffs and a number of media outlets. The judge inclines his head. Go on. The attorney clicks a remote control, and the large courtroom screen flashes to life. A chain of emails dance there, time-stamped, highlighted. The voice of the defense attorney shatters the silence. These emails demonstrate that before this trial, Christine Brown and Janelle Brown had been negotiating exclusive interviews and a possible documentary contract. A ripple of murmurs surges through the courtroom. Christine's face goes pale. That's not true, she whispers. The lawyer smirks. Isn't it? Because here's an email, dated 2 months before the charges were filed. A producer asking if you'd be willing to share your story of emotional manipulation and control. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Kody leans back, arms folded. For the first time in weeks he looks almost smug. The most awful form of revenge isn't anger. It's seeing your antagonist begin to question their own reality. Christine stands quickly. That email is no evidence. I declined that offer. But harm has been created. The gallery is murmuring once more. That toxic curiosity seeping back in. Kody's attorney goes on. And yet here you are. A seamless story. A seamless timing. My client didn't ruin you. You exploited him. Christine's lip quivers. You think we wanted this? You think any of us wanted to be sitting here, recapping that pain? She pushes toward Kody, eyes blazing. You took it all. All we have left is the truth. Kody responds at last. Soft, measured, then set the record straight. Tell them about the money you stashed. About the property you attempted to switch on me without me catching on. Christine stiffens. Janelle's eyes go wide. Kody, she says softly. Don't, but he's on his feet. Oh, now you want silence? When it's your secrets, it's off limits? You think you can tear me apart and get away with it? The judge thumps the gavel. Mr. Brown, this is not how you... But Kody doesn't let up. His voice grows louder, thunderous. Each and every one of you made me the bad guy. But this family, this entire circus, was founded upon lies prior to me even uttering a word. When truth is used as a weapon, all bleed. even the wielder. Christine buries her face. Robyn bows her head, silent tears. Janelle simply gapes, shaking her head in shock. It's madness. The courtroom isn't even a trial anymore, but a confession booth. Kody's voice quavers, but he continues. You think I wanted this life? I gave everything, everything, for all of you. The show, the money, the faith, the family, and what did I receive in return? Rebellion, betrayal, cameras waiting for me to fail. The judge at last motions to the bailiff, who moves forward. His Mr. Brown, have a seat. Kody bangs his fist on the table but complies, gasping, jaw clamped. The prosecutor, unruffled but icy, moves forward. So you admit it then? It was control, keeping them from escaping. Kody glares up, eyes flashing. No, it was about keeping them together. You can't have a family without someone in charge. Christine whispers from her seat. Families don't need kings, Kody. They need love. The silence that follows is deafening. Even Kody seems to shrink a little, as if realizing too late how hollow his words sound. Sometimes the only thing left of power is the echo of someone still pretending to have it. The judge clears his throat. We'll recess until tomorrow morning. As all the others stand, Kody sits, still, lost in thought. Reporters scurry out to get headlines in. Robyn waits by the doorway, her eyes on him. Their eyes meet for the first time in days. There is no longer anger in hers. There is only sorrow. He mouths the words, "You still believe me?" She doesn't reply, just nods her head, and walks away. The camera, the make-believe one in your mind's eye, would remain trained on Kody's face as the doors close. The now battered patriarch sits alone now, walls closing in, rain pounding outside, drowning all else out. And when the thunder rolls, it no longer sounds like weather. It sounds like consequences. Fade to black. It's the fourth week of the trial. The courthouse is a second home for the ghosts of everything the Browns once were, the fans, and the cameras. Today no one speaks before they go in. No laughter, no small talk, no chat. Everyone can sense it, something's going to happen. Within, the judge's stand shines in the white lights. Reporters stand shoulder to shoulder in the rear, prepared. Even the air feels denser, electric like the instant before a lightning strike. Kody enters, face unreadable. He appears serene, too serene. Christine won't look at him. Janelle clamps her hands into fists over her purse. Robyn blots at her eyes with a shaking hand. The tension hangs as thick as a knife. The judge takes his seat. We are resuming the case of State versus Kody Brown. The prosecution may call its next witness. The prosecutor stands, glancing at his notes. Then at Kody. Your Honor, the state calls. Nathan Anderson to the stand. The room erupts, gasps everywhere. Christine covers her mouth. Robyn looks stunned, and even Kody's calm facade breaks. Nathan Anderson, once Kody's most trusted business associate, the man in charge of the family's production and real estate transactions. The man who vanished when the investigation picked up. He enters, tall and calm, with one black folder tucked under his arm. His suit is immaculate, his jaw set. As he swears, Kody leans forward, in a low voice. You shouldn't be here. Nathan doesn't respond. He simply looks straight ahead. When the specters you buried come marching back into the room, they don't have to haunt you. They just have to speak. The prosecutor takes a step closer. Mr. Anderson, tell the court how you were related to the defendant. 7 years I was his financial manager, Nathan answers calmly. And what was your position in the family business? I managed the accounts, the property purchases, the show contracts. Everything went through me. And through Kody. The prosecutor nods. Did you ever see anything funny going on? Nathan opens the folder. Inside, statements, wire transfers, documents labeled confidential. Yes, he says. I was instructed to transfer money out of joint family accounts and into private ones. All of them in Kody's name. Gasps once more. Janelle closes her eyes, mumbling something like, I knew it. Kody bangs his fist on the table. You're lying. You were fired for stealing. Nathan doesn't even flinch. No, Kody. I quit because you made me an accessory. I couldn't stand by and watch you destroy all those people who trusted you. Sometimes the truth doesn't scald the liar. It scalds all those who ever loved him. The prosecutor refers to one document. Mr. Anderson, can you tell the court what this is? Nathan nods. A $750,000 transfer from the family trust to a shell company Kody established in another name, one he used to conceal income from the show. Christine makes a gasping sound loud enough for others to hear. He told us we were broke. He told us the network trimmed our pay. Janelle's eyes bulge. All those years. The judge fiddles with his glasses, glaring at Kody. Mr. Brown, would you like to reply? Kody remains silent, his knuckles white, his hands cling to the table. The prosecutor faces Nathan again. Where did it go? Nathan points directly at Kody. Offshore accounts. He told me it was for when the wives turned on him. He called it his escape fund. The crowd gasps so loudly the judge has to rap the gavel. Order, order in the courtroom. And that's when the story shifts. When power crosses over into evidence. And the king finds himself on trial. Robyn is sobbing softly now. Christine remains motionless, caught between fury and grief. Kody's attorney rises. Your Honor, we protest the witness's testimony. These so-called documents are unauthenticated. The prosecutor smiles. They all came straight from the defendant's own hard drive, produced pursuant to subpoena. The judge leans back in his chair. Mr. Brown, did you willfully use family and business money for personal expenses? Kody glances around the room. At Christine, at Robyn, at Janelle. Each of their faces shows something different. Anger, betrayal, sadness. His voice breaks. You think I did all this for me? No. I did it because you'd all leave if I didn't control the story. Christine whispers, we left anyway. Control is a fragile god. Once you stop believing in it, it stops existing. The judge nods seriously. We will take a short recess before proceeding with closing arguments. As all the others stand up, Kody remains frozen, stuck in position, looking down at his hands. Nathan gets down from the stand. But as he goes past Kody, he pauses for a moment. You could have had everything, Kody, he murmurs. But you wanted everybody. Kody doesn't say anything. His eyes are empty, like one who witnesses the remains of an empire he constructed himself. Christine, Janelle, and Robyn walk out together for the first time in years. The cameras descend, yelling questions. But none of them say a word. They just walk, shoulder to shoulder, quiet, almost free. Sometimes the finish isn't boisterous. It's just the silence of peace returning, after years of tumult. Inside, Kody glances up at the vacant witness stand. For the first time, there's no defiance on his face. Only fear. The judge returns. Court will reconvene in the morning for sentencing. The gavel falls. The sound resonates like thunder booming through a deserted church. Fade to black. Morning light pours through the courthouse windows, slicing across the gleaming floors like thin slices of gold. It's sentencing day. Outside, crowds have assembled. Reporters, fans, others who spent their childhood watching the family on television. Some carry justice for Christine signs. Others just stand there, silent, waiting. Inside, the mood is thick, final, like the air before the storm finally breaks. Christine sits in the front row with Janelle. Robyn is a seat or two away, head down. No one talks. No one dares to. Then the side door opens. Kody Brown enters. He's not the same fellow who used to command living rooms and cameras. His shoulders curve slightly inwards. His eyes flicker, unsure. But still there is that spark, the pride that will never perish even here. He sits down next to his lawyer, whose face is pale and drawn. Whispers begin at once. The judge arrives. Everyone rises. The gavel comes down once. This court is now in session. A profound silence ensues. The prosecutor stands, clutching a pile of documents. Your Honor, the evidence in this case leaves little to be desired. The defendant employed manipulation, coercion, and economic control to exert control over his family. Spiritual leadership developed into emotional captivity. For years, the cameras revealed a man preaching unity, but behind those cameras he constructed a cage and named it faith. Christine drops her eyes. Janelle exhales unsteadily. Even Kody's jaw clenches. Not with anger this time, but with something akin to shame. Sometimes the moment you stop lying to the world is the moment the world stops lying to you. The defense lawyer stands up, attempting to calm his voice. Your Honor, my client is guilty of being imperfect, of having made errors, but not guilty of the crimes alleged. This was a family torn asunder by glory, by television, by the stresses of the limelight. No one goes out of a story like this unscathed. The courtroom murmurs, some nodding, others disapproving. The judge leans forward. Mr. Brown, do you have anything to say before I render sentencing? Kody stands. He says nothing for a very long time. His eyes scan the room, touching each of his wives. In turn, Christine calm, Janelle determined, Robyn shaking, Meri quiet in the back row, inscrutable. He speaks at last. His voice is low, gruff. I created this family out of nothing. I thought I was special, that I was called to do something. But somewhere along the line, I came to believe the narrative instead of the fact. He swallows, his eyes blinking rapidly. I hurt those I loved. I justified it with faith, with pride. But I see now, I wasn't leading. I was hiding. A thick silence hangs in the air. Redemption isn't always freedom. Sometimes it's the courage to cease defending the person you once were. Slowly the judge nods. Mr. Brown, the court finds you guilty on several counts of financial malfeasance, coercive control, and defamation. You are hereby sentenced to 5 years in federal custody, with a possibility of parole after 3. In gasps run through the courtroom. Kody closes his eyes, not in shock, but in surrender. Christine breathes, a quavering breath that sounds like the first actual let go in years. Janelle reaches across, her hand closing over Christine's. They don't say a word. They don't have to. The judge goes on. This sentence isn't punishment. It's a statement. Power constructed on fear is not leadership, it's enslavement. Kody is escorted away. The cameras flash furiously, but his face is serene, blank, nearly serene. Outside the courthouse, it starts to rain, gentle, cleansing, as if the world itself were washing off the grime of years gone bad. Christine emerges first. A reporter yells, Christine, what are you going to do now? She stands there a moment, looks up at the sky, and smiles faintly. Live, she replies quietly. Finally live. For survival is what keeps you alive, but it is truth that makes you free. Janelle comes with her, sobbing softly through her smile. Robyn comes behind her, timid but with hope. Meri waits behind them, her expression inscrutable, then steps into the light as well, quietly. For the first time in a long time, they're walking away, not wives, not characters, but women reclaiming their names. The camera would dissolve as they walk into the rain. No music, only the beat of droplets and the hum of freedom. Then, the narrator's voice, steady, contemplative, the same tone that had begun this journey. They created a life on mutual love and faith, and destroyed it with pride and control. But among the ruins, they discovered something much stronger than the dream they'd begun with themselves. So tell me, after all they've been through, do you think people like Kody Brown ever really change? It's been 6 months since sentencing. The courthouse doors are now far behind them, but the echoes of what went on there still haunt every nook and cranny of their existence. Christine stands in her new kitchen, light streaming through the window, the morning traffic buzzing outside. She stirs her coffee lazily, gazing at the vacant chair across from her. The same chair Kody used to sit in, laughing, pretending it was all okay. Now it's just silence. Quiet yet odd. Janelle comes by sometimes. They discuss the children, rebuilding, moving on without moving on from lessons. Robyn texts sometimes too. Tentative messages, feeling out forgiveness. And Meri, well, she hasn't said a word. But Christine knows silence is not absence. There's a letter on the counter, unopened, from Kody. She's been keeping it at arm's length for days, maybe weeks. She finally gathers the strength to pick it up, tracing her thumb over his handwriting. It's shaky, rushed, the way he used to write when his emotions overcame him. Inside, Christine, I've been thinking about it all. The trial, the performance, the hurt that I inflicted. I can't make it better, but I can admit that I was wrong. For all of it. I hope one day you'll see that I'm working to improve, even if you never forgive me. Her fingers tremble slightly. The paper becomes indistinct behind her tears. She folds it neatly, puts it back in the envelope, and sets it aside. No rage this time. Only acceptance. Sometimes healing isn't about forgetting who hurt you. It's about remembering who you were before they did. Outside, the camera would cut to the mountains. Snow-covered, vast, still. The world still turning. A few blocks away, Janelle is seeing Robyn for the first time since the verdict. They sit at a tiny cafe, both not knowing where to begin. Robyn's eyes are bloodshot. Not from guilt, exactly, but from reliving every fight, every insult for months. Janelle stirs her drink, at last breaking the silence. You know, she says quietly, for a long time I believed that to forgive you would be to let him off the hook. But maybe it's just letting me off the hook. Robyn's lip quivers as she looks up. I didn't know how to stop him, Janelle. I just wanted us to remain a family. There is a silence, and then, out of nowhere, Janelle reaches across and touches her hand. For the first time in years, they don't regard each other as rivals, but rather as two women who lost too much to continue fighting ghosts. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the strength to stop dwelling on what shattered you. The wind beyond picks up. A gentle breeze filled with laughter from a nearby park. They smile. For a moment the world seems lighter. Meanwhile, within a small gray-walled correctional facility, Kody Brown sits at a metal table, gazing at one photograph. The family, years before. All smiling together. Back when smiles came easily. Before pride tainted everything. He closes his eyes, and for the first time he prays, not for freedom, nor for forgiveness, but for understanding. The guard passes by, nodding slightly. You okay, Brown? Kody raises his head, his voice barely a whisper. Not yet, but I'm getting there. He sees out of the window, light shining through the bars. Sometimes the true prison isn't the walls that confine you. It's the story you refuse to rewrite. The ring of a faraway bell resonates down the corridor. He gets up, refolds the photograph neatly, and makes his way back to his cell. Slowly, step for step, like a man relearning how to walk. It's nighttime now. She's sitting on her porch, all wrapped up in a blanket, watching the sun die across the horizon. Her daughter sits beside her, leaning forward against Christine's shoulder. Do you think Dad's sorry? Christine smiles weakly, her eyes shining. I think he's learning to be. They sit in silence. 2 generations of women waiting for the day to end, and something new start. Because endings aren't always tragedies. Sometimes they're just the truth. Finally letting you go. The camera pans out slowly. The mountains disappearing into twilight. The hum of cicadas growing up in the distance. The screen nearly goes black. Nearly. Then, a knock on the door. Christine turns around, confused. The frame pauses just before she opens it. A shadow of a figure standing in the porch light. Who is it? The knock on the door still resonates. Christine pauses, the evening light dances in her face. Half fear, half curiosity. Her daughter whispers, Mom? Who is it? Christine breathes slowly. Stay here. She rises, moves towards the door, every step burdened with remembrance. The groan of floorboards is louder than her pulse. When she opens it, she doesn't inhale. Standing there, clutching a little paper bag, an anxious half-smile, is Kody. He's older, thinner, grayer hair, quieter eyes. For an endless second, neither of them say a word. Only the breeze fills the emptiness, whispering between them like the specters of their past. Hey, he whispers. I didn't think you'd call back. Christine simply stares at him. Her hands quiver a little but her voice doesn't. You shouldn't have come. I know. He glances over at the bag in his hands. I just wanted to leave this for you. It's not much. Just something I did in there. Wood carving. He unzips the bag a little, and inside is a tiny sculpture, a tree, ugly but lovely. 4 branches, 1 trunk. Her eyes dart. You created this? He nods. Yeah. I had plenty of time to think. About roots. About what shatters them. And what holds them up. Sometimes the people who shattered you still possess the missing part of your closure. She reaches for the carving, pauses, and places it carefully on the table beside the door. Silence once more. Kody speaks at last. I didn't stop by to be forgiven. I realize I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to understand. I'm finished running from who I used to be. Christine looks at him. This man who once dominated her life, now standing like a stranger on her doorstep. Do you mean that? He nods slowly. For the first time in my life, she wraps her arms around herself, thinking, breathing, feeling it all at once. You know, she says softly. We were all running from something. You ran from responsibility. I ran from isolation. Robyn ran from guilt. Janelle ran from hope. But perhaps we finally stopped. Kody's eyes become brimming with tears. He doesn't conceal this time. I hope so, he whispers. The setting changes, to Janelle and Robyn sitting side by side, watching the sunset. They're laughing over something minor, human, the kind of laughter that signals peace again is possible. Robyn glances down at her phone. It's Kody, she whispers. He's out. Janelle nods, gaze far off. You think he's changed? Robyn smiles weakly. Not yet, maybe. But he's trying. They both go quiet. But it isn't the quiet of resentment anymore. It's the quiet of comprehension. At Christine's place, the evening gets darker. Kody moves off. Christine stands watching him walk down the path. Slow, unsteady, but determined. Her daughter moves beside her. Are you all right? Christine smiles softly. Yeah, I think I finally am. The wind blows once more, this time bearing the gentle smell of rain and pine. Because forgiveness isn't saying, it's okay, it's saying, I'm okay. The screen fades to black for a moment. Then one final montage. Meri writing in a journal, her handwriting calm and steady. Janelle working in her garden, sunlight glinting through her hair. Robyn visiting a shelter for women, smiling softly as she helps others. And Kody sitting in a small cabin somewhere quiet, carving another tree, his face older, gentler, still searching. The narrator's voice comes back on, calm, contemplative. Last, they started as one family, tied together by faith, fractured by pride, judged by millions. But ultimately they found something more than the vow they took of each other. They found truth. The music swells, slow, melancholic. For sometimes the true tale isn't about who you lose. It's about who you finally are when they're gone. Christine glances at the stars, whispering softly, almost a prayer. Thank you for the lesson. Fade out. Then on black screen. Would you have opened the door if it were you? Tell me in the comments. Could you forgive Kody if you were Christine?